When you think about the wealthiest places on Earth, your mind probably jumps to economic giants like the United States, China, or Germany. Nations with sprawling industries, massive populations, and trillion-dollar GDPs that dominate global headlines. But here's something that might surprise you. Some of the richest territories in the world aren't sprawling superpowers at all. They're tiny, almost invisible specks on the map. Places so small you could walk across them in under an hour. Yet they're quietly raking in more wealth per capita than nations 1,000 times their size. We're talking about micronations, places like Monaco and Liechtenstein, that have cracked a code most countries can't even dream of mastering. They've built economies that thrive without factories, without natural resources, and in many cases, without the traditional industries that we've been taught are essential for a nation's survival. So how do these postage stamp-sized countries pull off what seems impossible? How do they not just survive, but actually flourish in a world dominated by economic superpowers? And what does their success reveal about the changing nature of wealth in the 21st century? Let's dive deep into the fascinating and often secretive world of micronations that are rewriting the rules of global economics. To understand how these tiny nations generate such extraordinary wealth, we first need to grasp just how small we're talking. Monaco, for instance, covers barely 2 square kilometers. That's smaller than New York Central Park. Yet it boasts one of the highest GDP per capita figures on the planet, often exceeding $150,000 per person, according to recent economic reports. Liechtenstein, nestled between Switzerland and Austria in the Alps, spans just over 160 square kilometers with a population of around 40,000 people. Yet its residents enjoy a GDP per capita that regularly surpasses $180,000, placing it among the absolute wealthiest territories anywhere. These aren't nations with oil fields, diamond mines, or vast agricultural exports. They're landlocked or coastal slivers with virtually no natural resources to speak of. So, where does all this money come from? The answer lies in a brilliantly executed strategy that flips conventional economic wisdom on its head. Instead of producing goods or extracting resources, these micronations have become havens for something far more portable and valuable in the modern age: capital itself. At the heart of their success is what experts call the zero industry model, a term that describes economies built not on manufacturing or agriculture, but on financial services, banking secrecy, favorable tax regimes, and luxury tourism. Let's start with Monaco. Monaco has no income tax for its residents, a policy that dates back to 1869, when Prince Charles III abolished direct taxation to attract wealthy Europeans. Today, that decision has transformed Monaco into a magnet for billionaires, celebrities, and ultra-high net worth individuals from around the globe. According to widely reported figures, nearly 1 in 3 residents of Monaco is a millionaire, and the principality is home to more millionaires and billionaires per capita than anywhere else on Earth. These wealthy residents don't move to Monaco to work in traditional jobs. They move there to preserve their wealth. By establishing residency in Monaco, individuals can legally avoid the hefty income taxes they'd face in countries like France, the United Kingdom, or the United States, where top earners can lose 40% or more of their income to taxation. Monaco's government, meanwhile, generates revenue not from taxing income, but from value-added taxes, corporate taxes on businesses that operate outside the principality, real estate transactions, and tourism. The formula is simple but devastatingly effective. Offer the ultra-wealthy a safe, luxurious, and tax-friendly environment, and they'll bring their fortunes with them, pumping billions into the local economy through real estate purchases, luxury spending, and investments. Liechtenstein operates on a similar principle, but with a twist that's even more lucrative. While Monaco focuses on attracting wealthy individuals, Liechtenstein has built a thriving financial services industry that manages assets for clients worldwide. The principality is home to numerous private banks, wealth management firms, and trust companies that oversee an estimated total of over $200 billion in client assets. According to financial industry analyses, Liechtenstein's appeal lies in its combination of political stability, strict banking privacy laws, though these have been relaxed somewhat in recent years due to international pressure and a business-friendly regulatory environment that makes it easy to establish foundations, trusts, and holding companies. Wealthy individuals and families from across Europe, Asia, and the Americas use Liechtenstein's financial infrastructure to manage their wealth, plan estates, and structure investments in ways that are often more tax efficient than they would be in their home countries. The fees, commissions, and management charges generated by these financial services form the backbone of Liechtenstein's economy. And because the principality has such a small population, the wealth generated per capita is astronomical. But it's not just about banking and taxes. These micronations have also mastered the art of creating aspirational brands. Monaco, for instance, has cultivated an image of unparalleled luxury and exclusivity. The Monaco Grand Prix, one of the most prestigious Formula One races in the world, attracts global attention every year, reinforcing the principality's association with wealth, glamour, and high society. The Monte Carlo Casino, yachts lining the harbor, and streets filled with Ferraris and Lamborghinis all contribute to a carefully curated image that money can't buy, except, of course, it literally does buy it, because that's precisely the economy Monaco has built. This branding isn't accidental. It's a strategic economic tool. By positioning themselves as the ultimate destinations for the world's elite, these micronations ensure a steady influx of wealthy residents and tourists who are willing to pay premium prices for everything from real estate to restaurant meals. A square meter of property in Monaco can cost over 40,000 euros, making it one of the most expensive real estate markets in the world. Yet, demand remains sky high because the value proposition live in a tax haven surrounded by fellow billionaires in one of the most beautiful and secure locations on Earth is irresistible to a certain segment of the global elite. Now, you might be wondering, how do these places survive without traditional GDP drivers like manufacturing, agriculture, or technology sectors? The answer is that they've essentially become service economies on steroids, hyper-specialized in catering to the needs of the ultra-wealthy. Traditional economic models measure a nation's strength by its production output, how many cars it manufactures, how much food it grows, how much steel it produces. But Monaco and Liechtenstein have proven that in a globalized, digitized world, you don't need to produce physical goods to generate wealth. Instead, you can provide intangible services, wealth management, legal structures, privacy, security, lifestyle experiences that command enormous premiums. It's a bit like comparing a factory that makes watches to a luxury brand that sells them. The brand can generate far more profit per unit without ever touching a piece of machinery. These micronations are the luxury brands of the global economy, and they've positioned themselves so effectively that traditional economic metrics almost don't apply. Their GDP figures, while impressive on a per capita basis, don't capture the full picture of wealth flowing through their systems because so much of their economic activity involves managing and facilitating wealth that technically belongs to foreigners. Liechtenstein's banks, for example, might manage hundreds of billions in assets, but those assets aren't counted in the principality's GDP. Yet the fees and services generated absolutely are, creating a multiplier effect that enriches the local economy without the need for traditional productive capacity. Of course, this model isn't without its controversies and challenges. Critics argue that tax havens like Monaco and Liechtenstein effectively enable tax avoidance and evasion, depriving larger nations of revenue that could fund public services, infrastructure, and social programs. There's an ongoing global debate about whether such jurisdictions should be allowed to continue operating with such favorable tax regimes. International organizations like the OECD have pushed for greater transparency and information sharing to combat tax evasion. Both Monaco and Liechtenstein have made concessions in recent years, agreeing to share some financial information with foreign tax authorities and implementing reforms to meet international standards. But they've managed to maintain enough of their competitive advantages to keep the wealthy flowing in. There's also the question of sustainability. Can these models last forever? Or are they vulnerable to shifts in global politics, economic trends, or regulatory crackdowns? Some experts suggest that as wealth inequality becomes a more pressing political issue in larger nations, there may be increased pressure to shut down or heavily regulate tax havens, which could threaten the micronation's economic foundations. On the other hand, as long as there are wealthy individuals and corporations seeking to optimize their tax obligations legally, and as long as these tiny nations can offer stability, privacy, and quality of life, the demand for their services is likely to remain strong. What's particularly fascinating is how these micronations have essentially turned their small size into an advantage. In traditional economics, size often matters. Larger populations mean bigger labor forces, larger internal markets, and greater productive capacity. But Monaco and Liechtenstein have flipped that logic entirely. Their small size means they need far less tax revenue to fund government operations, public services, and infrastructure. They can afford to charge lower taxes, or even no income tax at all because their overhead is minimal and their revenue per resident is so high. A small, efficient government can run an entire principality on revenue streams that would be laughably insufficient for a larger nation. And because they're not trying to compete in manufacturing or agriculture, they don't need the massive investments in industrial infrastructure that traditional economies require. It's a lean, highly efficient model that works precisely because of scale, not in spite of it. So what can larger nations learn from these microstates? Probably not much in terms of direct replication. Most countries can't simply declare themselves tax havens and expect the world's billionaires to show up. But there are lessons about specialization, branding, and creating competitive advantages in a globalized economy. These tiny nations have identified niches where they can offer something truly unique and valuable, and they've doubled down on those advantages with remarkable focus and discipline. They've also demonstrated that in the modern economy, wealth creation isn't always about production. It's increasingly about providing services, expertise, and environments that attract and retain capital. Whether you view these micronations as clever innovators or problematic enablers of inequality, there's no denying they've achieved something remarkable. They've built economies that punch far above their weight, generating per capita wealth that rivals or exceeds the richest countries on Earth, all without the traditional economic engines we've long considered essential. And in a world where capital is increasingly mobile, information flows instantly across borders, and wealthy individuals have more options than ever about where to live and how to structure their finances, the success of places like Monaco and Liechtenstein might just be a preview of how economic power and wealth will be distributed in the decades to come. And that's something worth considering the next time you look at a world map and assume that bigger always means richer. Is this the future of economics, or a system that needs reform? Drop your thoughts below. And if this blew your mind, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're breaking down the systems that shape our world, one video at a time.